Hey guys, welcome back to this episode of The Backstory. Today we speak to 22-year-old Hamzah Hanif as he shares some valuable tips on how all of us can initiate a flow of personal fitness in our lives and reframe any perceptions or fears we may have towards going to the gym. With that, we'll explore just how the power of discipline and consistency can transcend into various aspects of our busy lives. Hamza tells us how concepts like delayed gratification, breaking beliefs, and shared accountability have changed his life and how they can transform yours too.
Hi guys, I'm Hamza. As Mustafa said, we go back to like kindergarten prep. The last 4 years we've just grown closer. We were at the same university. I helped him with his training, and obviously we've been like brothers for like the last 4 or 5 years. But I'm just really excited to be talking to everyone now about training, nutrition. This is what I help people with outside of work, and just excited to get started.
I wanted to start with what drives you and why you do it at all, because I think I've seen you over the last few years really adapt to different situations, and you still keep going with your fitness journey. You don't let anything stop you. So what drives you? Why do you do it?
I think the why behind my fitness journey has been transitioning. I've been training now for about 5 to 6 years. The last 2 to 3 years I've been very serious training. And the first 2 years were most likely because of insecurities. When I was 15, 16, because I wanted to be more confident, right? I wanted to look better. I was a bit plump, right? So I wanted to become fitter. And that was simply insecurity. That transitioned into enjoyment of training as I began to see progress, train with friends in the gym. And then actually joined my first gym when I was 18 with a friend of mine. And from there, it's just been enjoyment of training and the benefits mentally that training has, which is discipline, resilience, right? Just breaking beliefs, like ingrained beliefs, and the opportunity to work with other people on their own fitness journey has been something which I've absolutely loved.
Right. And so what would you say are your main strategic pillars of training? What are some of the frameworks that you really abide by?
So I would say, like, whenever I explain it to someone on the way I like to think about it is look at a ladder, right? So the right leg of the ladder is ingrained beliefs, right? The steps of the ladder are character traits, and the left leg of the ladder represents skill acquisition. And I'll elaborate on each one of these briefly.
Sure.
So ingrained beliefs are, people might think that they need to eat, they can't cheat at all on their diet the whole week to be able to progress and lose fat. They need to train 5 days a week for 1.5 hours, let's say, right? Or they think that they cannot get to a certain weight or a certain physique goal. So those are ingrained beliefs that need to be broken for you to progress forward, right? Skill acquisition is that you need to be training the correct way, training in a plan that suits your body, eating in a way that like your food is digesting well, right? You're able to hit your meals and maybe count your macros for some people, although this is not definitive.
Of course.
The last thing and the most important is the steps of the ladder, which is character traits. So you could have the best training program, you could believe that you could get to a certain goal, but if you're not consistently going in the gym, you don't have the discipline to eat a certain way, right? You're not going to make progress forward. You're not going to progress
And that's the middle of the ladder, right?
I would say, that's the middle of the ladder, because without those steps, without those character traits developing as you progress in your fitness journey, you're not going to go ahead.
But how do you sort of keep that consistency and how do you keep that discipline? I think these are buzzwords that are nowadays thrown around, right? And as you know, if I scroll on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, bro, I'll see like millions of videos of like some guy that you don't know who he is, but because he has 100,000 followers, you're gonna watch that video of him saying to do this, this, and this at the gym. So how do you know what to believe and what to follow? Because there's so much misinformation out there with fitness. Everyone wants to start. Everyone has the intention that, okay, today I'm going to start. But literally I was speaking to the other day, one of our friends, and he was like, I want to get into gym. But, you know, he'll go once, probably do the worst session ever, which, by the way, I did as well when I started. And that's probably wasted a lot of years building up to that. But to tie all of this into one question, it's like, how do you know what to believe and where to start?
Right. So the first thing I'll say is social media, whichever channel you take, right, is full of information. There's an information overload to a big level.
100%.
So I'll say take everything you see with a grain of salt. Because the reality of everyone's circumstances is different. So everyone's training is going to be different, right? Because someone might be a mother of 3. She works a job as well. And for her, training discipline might be going to the gym 2 times a week for 45 minutes. For a university student, when I was in university last year, for me, 5 to 6 times a week or 4 to 5 times a week would be a realistic measure, right? So knowing what your own circumstances are and setting your training plan according to that is very important.
Okay.
And I'll elaborate on this later, but to filter out all of that information, you need a good coach who's going to guide you through your first few years.
Yeah, so tell me about that. Like, how do you get started? Because everyone wants to sell their program, you know? There's so many coaches as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties into that same point of, if I go and I watch a video, at the end of that fitness video, always some guy will be like, okay, buy my program. It's only $1 million a month, you know? And so where do you know what's good for you? Because I'm sure you must have gone through so many different programs, so many splits, so many coaches. But to stick on that coaching point, how do you know where to find a good coach?
So I think the way to go about it is, first I'll touch on why I think everyone should have a coach.
Of course, yeah.
And why that is, there's three things, right? Your perceived likelihood of achievement, which is everyone has this thing that, can I reach that physique goal? And will I be able to do it myself? So a coach who's already transformed multiple people, right?
Yeah.
Seen their journeys, seen what, things that they've struggled with.
Okay.
They know how to help you overcome those. So therefore your perceived likelihood of achievement for that goal increases. Number two, your time delay, right? Because what you learn in 4 years in the gym, right? Or what you learn in 1 year from me, I've been learning for 6 years, so I can give that knowledge to you and help you progress faster than you would yourself.
Even though your body is different to mine, is it
100%?
Okay.
I think. The last thing is the effort and sacrifice, right? That you would have to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort to learn the correct ways of training, to learn what you need to sacrifice, what works for your body. But if a coach is helping you with that, you're going to use less time. And when people get to a certain goal in a relatively faster amount of time with less sacrifice, they're more likely to stick to it.
Stick to it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the why. Now
Okay.
how?
So
How do you find a good coach?
the how would be, I think I'll just share my own experience.
Sure.
Currently, I work with a coach, although I've been training for 6 years, right? This coach walks like way ahead of me, right? He's a professional, right? He trains and I learn from him. And the reason why I thought he would be a good coach for me is because I've been following his content for a few months before I started working with him. I know that his values align with mine. His expectations of me and his own clients are something that I can fulfill, right? So if a beginner was to go to this coach and he was to say, have 5 meals a day, measure all your food, train 5 times a week, log all your training, record all your training, right? I don't think a beginner would be able to do that, so he's not the right coach for them.
Right, okay.
Right, so you need to see your own circumstances. Who do you gel with? Because a coach is a personal relationship. The same way I've been teaching you throughout the last 4 years doing your programming, right? And it's been off and on because first year of uni you didn't really train, and after that you picked up.
Yeah.
We had a relationship that you could trust me. You were secure to tell me that, okay, this doesn't work for me, this does work for me. So that was the good thing that's the important thing. You need to be able to be truthful and honest with the person you're working with.
I think another thing that's a very good point, but that ties in from my personal experience working with you, is like, I felt like maybe in those initial years, sometimes I was too dependent on the other person. So I was like, okay, he'll just do the program for me and it'll be perfect. I'll follow exactly what he says and I'll achieve this. But you have to still have that in yourself, right? The belief and also the consistency that, okay, this person has given me a framework, but he can't do it for me. It's me. I have to do it.
So I think the best way to approach that is that, look, for example, you said in first year of university to me, I want to put on X amount of weight and I want to look a certain way, right? That is the outcome of the whole process you're going to go through, right? So you need to, I'm going to say this slowly so it's easier to absorb.
Yeah, of course.
But make the action the goal, not the outcome. So if the small actions every day, like you're getting your sleep correct, right? You're getting your training correct. You're getting your nutrition correct. If those things are on point, that's going to build up and that's going to compound. And at the end of the 6 months or 8 months, whatever end goal you've set, you're going to be able to achieve your goal, right? That is the way that I've been going about it. And by making the action the goal, you're going to start loving the process, hopefully, if you're with the right coach, right? Because you told me in the beginning, I'm not enjoying this, right? You gave me feedback.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is that I know what you enjoy and you don't enjoy. So I can program for you in such a way that you're going to enjoy the process, right? You like eating out? Sure, eat out, right? You don't want to train 5 days a week? Sure, train 3 days a week if you can manage it with work, right? And I think that's very important to actually consider.
So is it fine to have a cheat meal then? What is the verdict on cheat meals?
I think this just draws into how much you prioritize training, right? So, and the level of discipline which you have or might not have, right? So, if you want to prioritize it in your life and you have a very strict goal you want to get in 12 weeks, you might be 2 cheat meals a week. If you love food, you can just fit that into your macros, into your calorie requirement, right? And just be able to eat whatever food you want, of course, given there are some nutritional basic requirements. Yeah. And you can just adjust it from there.
So summing it all up, what really drives you? I think we spoke a lot about the theory behind fitness, why you do it, etc. But if you had to say that, what makes you wake up in the morning and go to I remember you saying that sometimes you went to the gym at like 5 in the morning. Yeah. Even on our trip to Turkey and Bodrum, like literally in 40 degrees Celsius. All of us are knackered. Keep in mind, it's the end of the day, and this guy's out there doing push-ups, and I'm like, bro, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, why is he doing this? So, in that moment, why would you do it? Like, genuinely, why would you do it? What makes you do it?
I think that just comes from now. As I said, my reasons behind training have transitioned, and now it's just enjoyment, right?
So you actually enjoy it. You love it. Okay.
Right? I love that process, right? And for me also, hopefully 4 or 5 years down the line, when I have the correct amount of knowledge, I want to be a full-time coach and build a coaching platform to help people achieve whatever goals they might have. And I think that if I don't fix my own schedule, discipline, everything, I can't expect you, if you were my client, to be following certain protocols if I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you're a role model for them, right?
Yeah. If I'm not doing that, then I can't expect you to do that, right? So I think that is actually just the basis of it. And everyone has different reasons. Plus, you will not enjoy every session that you have. Yeah. You're going to have bad sessions. I have them too.
Another question. Is it better? Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Another one. Is it better to just do a bad session or not go at all?
100% do a bad session.
Okay.
Right? Given that, I mean, of course, if you're really unwell and you know that you're going to be very weak in the gym, you know that you're not going to be, like, you have a cough.
Even then, let's say that.
I would say that's not the smartest thing to do.
Okay.
Right? Like, and you should have a slightly flexible training schedule because you're not going to get much out of your training. But I'm talking about just turning up to the gym.
Turning up, yeah.
When, for example, some days you get 6-7 hours of sleep, some days you're going to get 8, some days you get like 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. If you're not sick, you can just go and push yourself in the gym, right? You might not meet the benchmarks or beat the weights or reps that you did last time you went into the gym, but just turning up in the gym is very important. And the same thing, this comes into, like, people look at it as, should I go to the gym in the next 4 weeks because I have exams, or should I not? So binary, yes or no. That's the wrong way to do it, right? You need to look at progress on a continuum, which is, if I can go to the gym 3 times a week for the next 4 weeks or 2 times a week for the next 4 weeks, the amount of time I go to the gym will reduce by 50%, but I'm still going because life gets in the way. Fitness is not the priority for 95% of people, right? Unless you're professional, you're looking at people on social media, again, they're professionals, that's their full-time job, right? If you want to do that, then that's not a realistic expectation. But if you're going into the gym to improve your health or get over insecurity or just for enjoyment, right? You need to consider that there are other things that will come up in life. You have family commitments, you have work commitments, and all of that.
So I want to paint a scenario for you, right? Say I'm 16, 17 years old. I've never gone to the gym, but I want to start. I have no clue where to start, but I know that I've got a gym subscription. Okay, I've signed up and I'm going to go. Tomorrow's my first day.
Yeah.
I have no idea what to do in the gym. I've looked online. I've seen push-pull leg, upper, lower, bro split, full body. The list goes on.
Yeah.
Where do I start?
Okay. So I think the easiest way to break this down is ask yourself how many times a week can you commit to the gym, right? And I would say start with 3-4 days a week. That's it, right? You don't need more than that when you're starting. 3 is plenty, right? And then, as you mentioned, the splits, start with full body. So let's say you go 3 times a week. You're going to be hitting the gym about 156 times a year. And through those 156 times, every time you have an opportunity to go in, train your whole body, recover, grow, go back in the gym, right? Then you go on to upper body, lower. So you go upper, lower, rest, upper, lower, rest, rest. So 4 days a week, right? Then you can have another split where you want to go 3 days a week. You could do upper, lower, break, break, full body, break, right? And then repeat the whole cycle every week. And there's so many different things which you can do. But at the end of the day, from an efficiency standpoint, when I say simply from an efficiency standpoint, the greater frequency you hit, in my opinion, as a beginner, you learn the movements better, right? You're going to pick up faster. You're going to become stronger faster. As I said, you have more opportunities to go in the gym, recover and come out every time if you're doing full body split, right? As opposed to maybe like you train one body part a week. Given that I've said all of this, I want to make it very, very clear that this is from an efficiency standpoint. So if you enjoy going in and training chest on one day, back on one day, or mixing all of them and doing a CrossFit workout, whatever you want, do what you enjoy. There is no like absolute correct thing. There's no absolute correct diet. Do exactly what you enjoy, and that is how you will progress, because you'll be able to enjoy the process, as I mentioned.
Part of starting gym is like the insecurity with entering a gym. You know, a lot of people are scared because, you know, when you go and you see huge people, like people that have gone for 10 years and plus, and so you feel intimidated, you know, you don't really, it kind of demotivates you in a way of even going, because you're like, I'm never going to get to these people's levels anyway. So how do you counter that? How do you sort of build a mindset? Because I remember seeing you in first year and thinking that you're one of those guys, like with the hood up, like, you know, headphones in, fully like on his stuff, not even talking to anyone, not even talking to his friends. I'm like, bro, Hamza, he just ignores me. I'm like, damn, I thought we went way back. But like, how do you counter that? How do you build that mindset of becoming not one of those, you know, people who don't care about anything, but how do you start off and get over that insecurity?
Yeah, so that's a question which a lot of people have asked me. I experienced myself when I joined my first gym with a close friend of mine when I was 17, right? So I think the easiest thing to be with, go into the gym with the mindset that every single person in that gym, however hard they look or however intimidating they look, they were there 10 years ago, right? They started, whether it was for insecurity or whether to improve their mental health, they started for a reason. They didn't know what to do, right? And they got into the gym and learned. So they were in your shoes 8-10 years ago, however long it might be, right? That's the first thing. Number two, whichever facility you train at, if this is like, I mean, different people have budgets, I understand that, but visit 2-3 gyms and see which gym you enjoy training at, what the culture is, right? I go to Gym Box, right, which is amazing. The person next to you is going to say hi to you 50% of the time. Everyone will be good about sharing machines. Just meet someone, like, you know, become friends with someone. That's a really good culture to be a part of, right? Number 3, having a coach. Because the main thing that people think about is, I go in the gym, I'm going to be making a fool of myself because I don't know where to start, right? And the important thing is, when you know you have a coach who's well established, who knows exactly what to do, he might even go into the gym with you the first few times. So you know what you're doing is correct. So that eliminates a lot of this doubt, right? And then the last thing is that the best way, this is the hardest way, right? Everyone has self-doubt. Going to the gym, can they progress, can they not progress? Go in, day out, and just outwork your self-doubt. That is the best and most basic thing I'll say. It's the hardest, but it's the best thing to do.
And as far as within each session, pushing yourself to, you know, failure and beyond, I think is something, again, that I've learned a lot from you, is that when I see this guy train, just for you guys, like, this guy, it doesn't seem like he's a nice person, to be honest. Like, he's training so hard and he's like screaming. There's videos of this guy, like, he's like, and it's like, bro, this guy's not human. So how do you develop, maybe not to that extent, because I don't want to be like that, but to an extent where you push yourself, you know, where you think, okay, don't let a number limit yourself. A lot of the times I feel like in the past, I've had it written down that last time I did, I don't know, 4 sets of 8 reps each on that one weight. And I get to the 8th rep and I'm like, okay, I get to the 9th one. I'm like, okay, I done one more than last time. But I could have easily done 12, 13. So is it important to let numbers be a guide, but not a hard and fast rule of where I should go each session?
So I would say hard training is separate for each individual, right? That metric, hard training, is a term which for you might be different than it is for me, and it might be different for another friend, right? But for your standards, you have to be progressing slowly. Like, you train harder every time you go into the gym, right? And the reason this 4 sets of 10 reps, 4 sets of 8 reps is just exhausting, that's not what I want people to be doing, right? I say go into the gym, do 2 sets, both to failure, right? Like couple warm-ups, both to failure. It's going to save you time. You're going to learn how to put in effort in 1 or 2 sets and get out of the gym, right?
So we've touched on a lot about mindset, discipline, all of these different factors,
Yep.
and I think it's something that evolves over time, as you touched on about. For me personally, I think that all of the work I did during the gym really changed me as a person outside the gym over the years. So is it the same for you, and how's that evolution been or looked like for you?
Yeah, I think it has been a slow evolution of mindset, and that is the reason why I've been able to progress. As in the beginning I mentioned, character traits, right?
Of course.
So discipline is what the biggest factor is that's helped me progress, right? And what I'll say is that right now I'm 5-6 years into my training journey, right?
I thought you were going to say I'm 5'6".
But 5 to 6 years into my training journey, and now the level of discipline that I have is that I can hit my 5 meals a day, everything is measured, my sleep is monitored, right? My training is, I log everything, right? And like my food, I weigh it out now as well, so everything is monitored, right? 5 years ago, if I asked myself to do this and I stepped in the gym, I said, okay, I'm going to start doing my meals, everything, all of these, taking all of these measures, right? And being so stringent with all of my activities, right? I would not be able to do it, and I would not be able to progress. The same way, the kind of discipline I have today, and I find it difficult to do that, for someone else who's 5 years down the line, been training for 10 years, it might be a walk in the park. Right? So it's a different varying degree that everyone's mindset evolves and keeps evolving throughout your training journey or throughout your life. The second thing is that through training, you don't get results immediately, right? As I said, learn to love the process and then the outcome will come. So you learn about delayed gratification, which not only in the gym helps, but outside of the gym that helps as well. Because you're going to get whatever you work towards for 3 years if you don't see any progress. And this is life I'm talking about, not about the gym.
Of course.
Might be something which compounds again in 5 years and gives you a result, right? So the concept of delayed gratification within the gym, outside of the gym, is very important. So everything that I try and practice within the gym, or stuff that I practice outside of the gym, I try to integrate those two things.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
When those two things are integrated, that's when your mindset evolves to a great extent and you grow a lot as a person.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. And right now you're on a very intense, plan with your training, your diet and everything. And like, for example, I wanted to ask you how it affects your social life, because we've had so many plans in the last week where either you haven't been able to, or that when you have been able to attend them, it's like you bring your lunchbox with you. And like from our side, we can laugh at it, but maybe from your side, you also feel like, okay, a bit weird, like socially, that, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. So how do you keep doing that? And is that the accountability factor that you spoke about earlier that really pushes you to do that?
I think it is accountability, of course, staying accountable to myself and my coach. But beyond that, I think, as I said, everyone prioritizes it at a different level. But I enjoy it enough to eliminate eating out for a certain period of time and getting that meal in, right? And for me, it's not difficult, or nor do I feel awkward. I would previously if I took a box of food to tuition, but now I've communicated to you guys that I have a goal to achieve in 12 weeks. So you guys make it easier for me. You don't say, no, okay, let's eat this cake. It's easier for you guys because you understand what my goals are.
Yeah.
So it's very simply put, I think.
Well, thanks so much, Hamza, for coming on to this episode. It was great to speak to you about, all these topics that we discussed. And, it's freezing cold today. We really wanted to do this episode in a fitness sort of centric area, but as you can see, we are in Hyde Park, which is nothing to do with fitness.
Thank you for having me on. It was a great conversation, I think. I wasn't able to provide a lot of insight to a specific individual because I think the conversation, we didn't have enough time to cover everything, but
For sure.
just feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help guide you with whatever you have. Any questions, you help with plans, nutrition, I'm more than happy to help.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hamza.
Thank you.
See you.